Wasted so much time on people who should've just been ignored. If I slow down now, I'll pump the brakes. What was it all for? What was it all for? What was it all for? I'ma make this shit count though.
CFR Network, CFR News, good day, good night all. Welcome back. I've kept the conversation very, very local today. And I have a very interesting gentleman and character, Christan of Pest Interceptors. Welcome to the broadcast. How art thou?
I'm good, my friend. I'm good.
Excellent. So I did only give you a very brief introduction. So if you would like to elaborate a little bit more, then we shall proceed.
Okay. Well, I've been in pest control. Oh, in fact, if we go back a bit further than that, I've been self-employed pretty much since about the age of 6. I've been in many, many different businesses, from taking empties back when I was a little kid to the local. Remember that? When you used to get 10 pence on.
Of course.
I used to go around all my in-laws, and then I used to go to people's houses in the street, and then I built myself a little trolley, you know what I mean, to take all my bottles to the empties and stuff like that. And I've always had that kind of entrepreneurial bent, I suppose. Obviously, I've had jobs during my life. I couldn't even tell you what they were off the top of my head now, but I've had lots of different jobs. Always felt a bit like it didn't quite fit in type of scenario. And being different, I think, kind of makes you, it's part of being an entrepreneur, I think it's like I suffer myself with like the numbers version of dyslexia. My son suffers with the same problem as well. So on a daily basis, we're made to feel like we're quite stupid, you know. It's like, but being like that kind of makes you different in a better way, because you have to like adapt and overcome all the time. So you kind of get used to it, and it kind of makes you better in business, I think.
Oh, definitely. It's these speed humps and challenges which indeed challenge you to either sink or swim.
Absolutely, yeah. And sinking's really not an option, is it?
Definitely not.
So for as far as I'm concerned, anyway. So yeah, you got to be resilient. You got to keep getting up, and you've got to deal with things that life throws you, and you've got to look at them in a certain way, you know, Noble. What you got to do, I learned this a couple of years ago. I don't know where I picked it up from. Someone said it to me maybe, or I read it in a book. I read a lot of books nowadays. And it's like, it's not, why is life doing this to me? Like that kind of mentality, like, oh no, why is this? Oh. What I do now is I think to myself, what's life trying to teach me? What's it trying to show me? Why has this happened? You know, sometimes it's difficult to do, but I guarantee you one thing: as soon as you start looking at life like that, the horrible things in life seem a lot easier to deal with, because you're kind of thinking, well, he's trying to tell me something here. You know, life's the cosmos and all that. It's quite an amazing. It's an amazing rabbit hole once you put your head down there.
It certainly is. It certainly is. And as you say, it's these lessons, these challenges, which enable you to grow as a person. Ultimately, without those little nuances, without those little bumps, those trips, those falls, you aren't going to be the person you are today. But as you've highlighted so clearly, it's having the foresight to be able to take the energy in motion, the emotion out of it, and look from a bird's eye view directly at the situation and logically figure out how to solve this problem.
And we all know this, right? We've all gone through life, and at the time, it's the worst thing that's ever happened to any human that's ever walked on the planet. You feel so dejected. Everything's the worst thing ever. But I guarantee you this, you look back on it in a year, 2 years, 10 years, no matter how long it is, but you'll look back and you think, what the hell? What was I worried about? I'd be straight over that now. It wouldn't even bother me now. You know, but at the time it was massive, wasn't it?
It was the end of the world.
Absolutely. And it really does feel like that. But once you start to realize that the world isn't so linear as what we're all told it is. You know, you do this, you get that, you do that, and that happens. Life is not really like that. It's not really like that. They'd love it to be like that. Whoever they is, I don't know. But that's what the education system's about, isn't it?
Yes, unfortunately, as I dub it now as an adult, it's the miseducation system.
Absolutely. Yeah. They don't teach you anything about taxes, do they? They don't
Tax,
teach you how to pay what a mortgage is. You don't teach you anything that's of any use whatsoever. You know, it was like, it's crazy, you know, it's like the way maths is taught. So I'm always going to have a problem with maths.
Mhm.
It's a bit annoying because my brother's really good at maths and my dad's really good at maths. And me and my son, we're both like, it's a challenge to say the least. When I say it's a challenge, I've got one PIN number for all my cards.
You're not wrong in doing that, Christian. You're not wrong in doing. Look, keep it simple, stupid. You know the acronym.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it's like when we was at school, that was the weird thing that I could never work out right with maths was how come I could be in a chemistry lesson, they could show me an equation in chemistry, and off the top of my head, I know what the answer was, right? Same as in biology, same as in physics. But then you'd sit me in a maths classroom, give me a very similar equation, and my brain would just go, nah, ain't having it.
Yeah.
I don't, and you know what it was? Because my brain doesn't care. I don't care what X is. I couldn't care less what X means in this scenario. Put me in a situation where I need to know what X is, or if X and Y makes an explosion in chemistry, I'm interested. My brain wants to know. And if there's a purpose to it, I can deal with it. I can use maths. But just for the sake of it, it's just like, yeah, I don't know how much damage you do to yourself as well. Like, I've always been told you're stupid. I heard that all my life. Oh, you must be stupid because you can't do maths. Well, you probably work for me now, you know?
This is where where teachers unfortunately do a terrible job. In your case, in many other people's case, regardless whether it was mathematics, whether it was geography, the whole purpose of that teacher is to take that young, thirsty mind and to mold it and to inject as much information that they can retain as possible to help them progress as a young child into a youth, into an adult.
And we've all had them teachers, haven't we?
Yes.
It's like I remember there's certain teachers through my school life that I still remember their names.
Yeah.
But that's like one in each school that I went to, probably. Out of all the teachers, there'd be one in each school that I think, oh, that was a good teacher.
Yes.
That was someone who'd get that classroom, and everyone in there would be sat there with bated breath, big wide eyes. What's he going to say next? What's this teacher going to teach us next?
Yeah.
Why is it interesting? Why do we need to know this? Instead of, this is what it is, write it down, memorize it.
Yeah.
That were never going to work for me.
No. Not at all.
Never,
not at all.
No chance.
It's engaging. You need to engage with, and this is learning full stop. Learning is about engaging with people, finding ways to explain situations, because we're all, the wonders of humanity is we all learn very differently. We all experience life differently. So as an educator, as someone who is a trainer, you should be able to look at the person, look at the signs and the signals and say, oh, okay, I need to do a little bit more with this person. Maybe I need to give them more one-to-one tutorial rather than classroom, just to the whole group.
Capture that imagination. Perhaps that's all it needs, just to get that person's imagination to turn from, I'm daydreaming about something out of the window, to I'm daydreaming about what I'm being told about now, and now it becomes something in your head. But we've got to remember that the whole education system was set up along the lines of what Napoleon wanted. So he got people who just walk towards a machine gun. You know, that's what this is all about, really, the whole education system. That's why people are getting more and more dumber every generation that goes by. You know, and it's like this whole mentality. And you can see it in people's unquestioning, unwavering, it's that box in the corner of the room, isn't it? That's spouting all this stuff out. And it's just like, it must be true because it comes from that box in the corner. I've been told that that's the truth. That box, that's what tells me what to do. you know, and it's
Yeah.
like, well, if you've got 80–90% of people that never question anything,
Yeah.
who needs to use force? Who needs to be a totalitarian state like the Nazis or the communists
Indeed.
when you can get them to do that without pointing a gun at their heads?
This is
Just make
it.
it their own mind, their own idea.
Yes.
Let them go
I
on
can't
with it.
remember who the person is, but there's a quote, a famous quote that says, "It was easier to kill 1 million people. It is now easier to control them without the force or the use of force."
Yeah. You don't need
So
to get rid of the bodies now.
this is it. You don't need to do any of that stuff. We'll utilize the television, aka the tell-lie vision, which, strangely enough, Christian, has a flicker rate which puts you into a suggestive hypnotic state. I wonder how many people recognize or realize that. So when you have
That's actually doesn't surprise me, but it's actually a new one on me. And as soon as you said that, I thought to myself, well, yeah, because that every screen has a flicker rate, doesn't it? A hertz,
yes,
a frequency.
indeed,
And as you
indeed.
probably know, frequencies, they're in everything, you know. Everywhere you look, the
Yeah.
more you learn about frequencies. You know what? One of the things that we specialize in at Pest Interceptors is removing bees and rehoming them. Basically, it's not all about killing before anyone jumps on here and says, "Oh, he's a cruel man," right? The truth is, most of the stuff that we do and what we specialize in is saving things that other people would kill, and if there's a way to do something without hurting anything or any animal or the environment or anything, we do it and we specialize in it. And a lot of the time, we're the only people who can do it that way, you know. But back to the frequencies and the taking bees out of, say, someone's chimney or something like that. Like, it's mayhem. You know, you're taking the bricks apart, the bees are attacking you, they don't want you to have their honey.
Indeed.
You don't really want the honey, you've just got to take it all out to get them out so you can get to them into a new hive and stuff.
Yeah.
But there's a certain point at which me and Ricky will literally look at each other and we'll just smile. And it's the frequency of the bees. Because all of a sudden there's a certain point they go, right, they've won. That's it. Let's just do what they want us to do. Let's go in the new hive.
Yeah.
Let's go. And it's not a noise. It's not anything. It's literally the frequency I feel of the whole mass, because each bee is a bee, but it's the hive mind,
Hive mind
mentality, and you can see it, man. It's like when you're in the middle of it, and all of a sudden we just look at each other and we just think, yeah, we've won. And all of a sudden it just all calms down. They do exactly what you want it to do. And that whole hive mind, man, working with bees, sometimes you'll do it and they'll swarm in the middle of a bee removal, right? And you're stood inside it, and it's one of the trippiest things ever.
Wow.
It's so weird. It's so it's almost like a psychedelic kind of feeling.
I can imagine.
It's really weird because your brain is so adapted to looking for rhythms and frequencies and repetitive things that you see. You're stood inside 50,000 bees all flying around, and you think at first that none of it makes any sense. But when you stand there and look, all of a sudden you realize that they're all doing like these figure of eights with each other.
Yes.
Then figure of eights, they're all going like in a direction of one thing. And again, you'll be stood in the middle of it, and all of a sudden it'll just go dead silent. And you stood there, and it goes from a noise, a bit like a Harley Davidson going down the street, to this serene kind of, and all the bees are still there, but all of a sudden it's like goes silent, and you're just like, whoa, this is freaky, man.
It sure is.
So strange, you know.
The wonders of nature. You have an excellent opportunity to actually divorce yourself from the bombardment of technology and actually relate back to nature itself.
Yeah, I'm a great believer in the fact that we haven't changed since we were cavemen, right? And it doesn't matter whether you believe in a divine person in the form of a god that put us here, or it doesn't matter whether you believe that we evolved from the swamp. It doesn't really matter. We still lived in caves for a long, long, long time, right? And we ain't changed. We're still the same humans that lived in those caves. Obviously, it wasn't caves like they make it up on TV and stuff, but wherever we lived, that was how we lived, you know.
Indeed, yeah.
And we've not evolved since then. And I'm really privileged to live in a Western culture, a modern culture, where kind of my day-to-day living is still a little bit like a caveman's would have been. An English caveman, right? He would have been living in his cave most of this time of the year. You wouldn't go
Yes,
out.
of course not.
You wouldn't have gone 8 hours a day out in this like I do, like a mug, you know, getting soaking wet and everything. You just wouldn't do it, you know.
No.
You would have worked hard in the spring and the summer. You would have stashed it all away in the autumn, and that would hopefully get you through to the spring, and then you would start again. And then you would start doing longer and longer days. And we do that, you see, in my job, because in the summer we'll be taking bees out of chimneys. We'll be there till, I think, this year on the longest day, we finished work at 11:30 at night, and we started at 6:30 in the morning.
Wow.
But you know what's weird? Yeah, you're tired at the end of that day, but you're no more tired than doing an 8-hour day this time of the year. Because it's natural. Do you know what I mean? You're supposed to get up when the sun comes up.
I understand. Was it circadian?
Finish chasing your quarry, whatever that quarry was, whether it was bees in a chimney after their honey, or whether it was a badger down a hole and you was digging it out.
Yeah.
Right? You did it until the sun went down, and then you would go back and you come back the next day. You wouldn't stay there because it's overtime.
There was no such thing, sir.
Exactly. Everything was controlled by nature, and it's like we're so far away from it now.
Very much so.
For my own health and mental well-being as well, I think my job is quite as close to being a caveman as you can probably get in the modern world. You know, it's always changing with the seasons, our quarry in a way. Whether it's rats or mice or whatever, it's always changing, you know, different seasons, every year is different times.
Yes.
You know, every year one pest will overtake from another pest.
Of course.
But that's again nature, you know?
Yeah.
If there's a void, nature will fill it.
Indeed.
So if there's a year with no wasps, I'm guaranteed there'll be more something that doesn't rely on wasps, you know, so bumblebees will be more. Or
yes,
such, you know?
The ecosystem.
Exactly. Yeah. And we're always trying to mess with it, man. Always. And it never works.
Of course not. Of course not. Well, Christian, as you know, it's not necessarily we as the collective, it's the powers that should have never have been who are in control and who unfortunately make the decisions for the masses. Those are the ones who are doing the geoengineering, you know, destroying habitat. So, you know, I mean, look at the crisis in regards to bees in America.
Yeah.
And
you know what? It's so apt, this, right? This week I've spent every waking hour basically, other than working as normal, working alongside with the Daily Mirror, right? And they came out and they filmed with us, took photos. Everything went absolutely perfect, right? At one point during that day, she said to me, have you got any pictures? Have you got any like dead rats? I was like, well, not on me. No, not in my pocket. If you'd have told me last week, I'm pretty sure we could have had some dead rats. So what we did, we rushed back home, put some, because I knew there was a rat down my shed. So now I'm on a race against time to try and catch a rat of big enough size that's going to look good in the paper, because it's all about clickbait, right?
Indeed.
So he gets all this, does all this, and this has taken up days and days of the week now, right? But as far as I'm concerned, everything's perfect. It was supposed to be in the papers yesterday. Not even in there.
Wow.
Not even in there. Right?
Wow.
I mean, everything that they wanted, but that shows you the media. What they did run with instead of us, right, was a story about Asian hornets. Now, I've done loads of stories about Asian hornets. I've even been over to France for our YouTube channel to interview their head honcho man over there who deals with all the Asian hornets, who's an English guy working in France,
yes,
right? Pest control. And I know what the true story is with Asian hornets. It's nothing to be worried about. Seriously, that's the story. That's the story, my friend. And what
Asian hornets are larger than the ones we normally get, I take it?
No.
Wow.
They got to Jersey, right? In France, the French made an absolute pig's ear of it, right? At one point, they were going around with the local hunts, right? And they were going out and shooting these Asian hornets' nests out of the trees with big 12 bores and stuff, right? That's how crazy it was. And then they slowly, once it got all out of control and there was Asian hornets everywhere, then all of a sudden they got pest controllers in, and we just said, well, all we need to do is go put some dust in it.
Yeah.
Literally, that's it, done.
Yeah.
Leave it, they'll die. Next, done. Right? But no, that's too simple, isn't it?
We want the shotgun.
Pest controllers now, right? So now what happened was these hornets, they got over to Jersey. And basically, loads of volunteers and do-gooders over there, they're going down the same route pretty much as what France did. They're kind of replicating it.
Yeah.
It's like, how did that pan out for you in 3 years then? Oh, yeah, you've got millions of wasps of these hornets now, right? All over the whole island is about the same size as Greater Manchester, I think, right? And the whole place is now covered in Asian hornets. But not one hive of honeybees has been killed by the Asian hornets, right? Now, all this stuff in the media is all about Asian hornets, they're killing all our bees. No, they're not. They're not at all. They're not, right? But what's our government doing? Do you know what our government's doing? It's doing exactly the same as the French did, and it's doing exactly the same as Jersey did, and they're getting overrun. Where the real problem is with bees, right? The real problem with bees is there's too many honeybees. This sounds insane, right? This sounds insane.
So too much competition.
Yeah. So basically what's happening is you've got loads and loads of species of bumblebee and what do you call them? Solitary bees, they're called, right? Now, those bees, they're just as important, if not more important, than your honeybee, right? But people hear the honeybees are dying out, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's no wonder they're dying out en masse at these places, mate. When you see what they do to bees, right, especially in America, they'll have thousands of hectares, thousands and thousands of hectares of one fruit, right? Say almonds or cherries.
Yes.
And
For the
then they
pollinates, for the pollination.
Exactly, right? And then they take all these honeybees out and they're on their hives are a few inches apart from each other, hundreds and hundreds of them on a lorry, and then they put them there for a week, and then they move them to the next place.
Yeah.
Stress, right? These animals are under stress. They're under their vibrations. That's not working as well because that's how they work. And now they've got a hive next to this hive, next to this hive, next to this hive. They're all getting confused.
Yes.
And lo and behold, occasionally they all die. But no one can explain it. Oh, well, blow me. There's a surprise. But you see where the problem is, then the media, what they're doing is they're saying, oh, it's the honeybees, the honeybees. The honeybees are 100% nowhere in the world under threat of dying out, right? But what's happening is, especially in the UK, everyone's watching the BBC, and then what they're doing is going, oh, let's get a couple of hives. Let's put some hives down the garden. Thinking you just get these hives there and that's it, right? But now what happens, each one of those colonies is going to swarm. When they swarm, that's how they reproduce, basically. The old queen takes a third of the colony. She flies off, sets up a new colony somewhere else. And the old one starts up again. A new queen's in there. She takes over until that gets filled up again. And then she swarms. And then it starts again. Right? Brilliant for me, because each one of them swarms is likely to go down your chimney. Then you're going to have to ring me up to come and get them out. This is a major, massive job, you know, scaffolding and all that.
Exactly.
Right? Now, what the problem with this is all of those unnatural honeybees that are being imported and bred unnaturally in these situations, but a lot of the time by the same people who are making the honey and all the rest of it. They ain't as nice as they look, these companies. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
It's just money, mate. It's just money. They just treat everything like the same.
Rouse is the biggest one in the UK, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah. The Pains as well, and the Rouse and Pains is another one. And it's just like they give this brand of, oh, we're looking after the bees. well, you got to watch what he's saying, you. But the truth of the matter is, nah, it's nothing like. It's bloody hard work getting honey. I'll tell
I
you,
can imagine. I can
it's
imagine.
really quite hard work.
It's labor intensive, isn't it? In
They do a
regards to,
lot more work than us.
yeah,
But we're going on a bit of a tangent there because the truth of the matter is, there's too many honeybees, and what's happening is they're competing with all our other native bees. And we're seeing every year a knock-on effect of all these people keeping bees is honeybee work is going up and up and up. Every year we get more and more work, but all our other bee stuff is going down, down, down.
which,
So,
like, for instance, what other?
Bumblebees. So quite often you'll get bumblebees up in your loft and stuff. And sometimes it's worth us to come out and we'll take them away in a box, take them away and put them somewhere else, basically, to live their natural life through. But they're going down every year. Every year we get less calls about it.
Interesting. Interesting.
And all I can put to that is the competition, you know? And you see, people think themselves, oh, honeybees, they do everything. No, 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 no. Again, educate yourselves, you know? Each one of those bees, a lot of the solitary bees, they'll just go to one flower. And their whole life will be around that flower or one or two different flowers, right? But they're the only bees that can actually, I was going to say impregnate, what's it called?
Cross-pollinate.
Pollinate that flower. The other bees might try, but they can't pollinate it.
So, okay then. So you're the expert, and since we're going into the minutiae of it, so correct me if I'm wrong, but they collect the pollen on their legs, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what they do is they comb it down and it kind of sticks to they're called baskets, pollen baskets.
That's it.
I think
Yes.
there's some kind of special hairs that kind of are even more grippy to the pollen there. I wouldn't have that written down in stone, but quite often what happens is, again, frequencies, right? The bees, they can vibrate at a certain frequency, which will make that pollen from a certain plant at a certain frequency literally jump off the plant onto the bee. Wow. And then the bee strokes it all down and puts it onto its little pollen baskets.
This is the beauty of nature, and we are currently, especially now, the Gregorian year of 2024, especially the children, well, I wouldn't even say especially the children, adults up to probably 26 years of age, they're so divorced from nature. They have no clue. You've got children who think elephants talk and all this kind of stupid stuff. They can't even identify what's in front of them, what they're eating, the meats and stuff.
Yeah, that's shocking, isn't it? You know, I mean, it's like, where's it going to go? It's like me myself, right? I've fallen a little bit off the wagon just recently because I'm back on the carbs, man, and the sugar, and honestly, it's so hard to quit it. All it takes is one. All it takes is one little Snickers bar one day. Yeah, that's it. Or a McDonald's. I don't know what the hell they put in that shit, man.
McNasties, as I refer to it.
You know, I was talking about last year, and me and Ricky, we'd done this. We finished at 11:30.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we had to drive home then, and we literally had nothing to eat all day. And the only place that we could find that was open and quick was McDonald's, right? Because we got to get up the next morning, go back out again. Yeah. I was like, shit, we got no choice, man. Yeah. It was like, okay. I mean, at that point, we hadn't had one for like 6 months. And guarantee you have one cheeseburger. You're there again within a week. Within a week, you're sat in that queue thinking, why the fuck am I? It's true, man. But you see, most people just think it's a coincidence. The more you get observant of yourself on a daily basis, it's like when I stopped drinking alcohol. It's like I look at alcoholics, people drinking now, and I'm like, I can't believe I used to do that. I used to be the loudest one in the pub. I used to be that idiot. When I first packed in drinking, I used to go to after about 2 months, I think it was, I used to go to my local pub and sit at the bar and just be observant of people.
Just
and what
watch.
I always used to think was I was an arsehole after about 4 pints. The arsehole thing came into you, and you're like, I know everything, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But when I started observing people, what I realized really quickly was alcohol affects people after the first quarter of a pint, not the first 4 pints.
Yeah.
You're sober and you stand at a bar And you watch how fast that wonder drug works, man.
Mm.
And it just messes with people.
Yes.
It's crazy.
It's
And watching
hence they call
people-
it spirits. Mm?
Yeah.
Come
Yeah,
on,
that's
sir.
incredible.
Like, look,
Yeah.
I'm not totally teetotal, but I'm a lightweight, right?
Uh-huh.
So a half a pint